Golf Central. Brought to you by Titleist.
There is nothing like it in golf. The 16th hole at the TPC Scottsdale transcends the game. It has a life all its own, and it makes players do things you won't see anywhere else. The weekend is nearly here at the Waste Management Phoenix Open, and on Saturday, they will take it to a whole nother level. Ricky Fowler and Phil Mickelson passing through our gate just a few moments ago. Welcome to the show, everyone. Kelly Tillman alongside PGA Tour winners Brandel Chambly and Aaron Oberholzer, who called this area home. We have a wonderful spot here right in the middle of it on 16, where the crowds have been much rowdier today, getting more and more excited for the weekend. Ricky Fowler just posting with a birdie at 18. We will hear from him shortly on Golf Central. Keep it right here. Meanwhile, 160,000 turning out today. It's a record on this Friday at the Waste Management Phoenix Open, and these are some of the highlights they were treated to, beginning with Hideki Matsuyama.
Man, who almost got it done here last year, and once again putting on an encore performance. Usually not that stellar on the greens last year, and this week certainly he could read these greens well, and so can this Irishman.
That's right, Chinook Valley winner at Bridgestone last year. WGC is from a seagoer on number 7. Cans at 4 under on the par 3s this week, and that's really good work out here on these par 3s.
38 feet. Keegan Bradley at number 5.
A former anchorer in the 2016 season. He's played 2 events without the anchor. He's missed both cuts. He's 218th in strokes gained putting. Needless to say, he hadn't found the secret. Until this week, perhaps.
Danny Lee at the 16th hole. This from 154.
Boy, just striping it on this back 9. Here at the 16th, posing, sticks that finish. This one looks good, just past the hole, some 20 feet, coming off of birdies on 11, 13, 15, and now this 20-footer for birdie on 16.
25-year-old with 1 win on the PGA Tour, 1 on the Asian Tour, 1 on the European Tour, Australasian Tour, 1 on the Web.com Tour. Trying to get off the snide, make it number 2, maybe this week.
Great putt, Danny. How about up Prescott? James Hahn, also a part of this story.
Gangnam Style, the dance he broke into after making the birdie putt at the 16 is not quite as popular as it used to be, but perhaps this man's gaining in popularity.
Well, from 144 here, Brandel, he gets a nice little bounce. He's calling 4 left, gonna hit the crowd. No, he's not. Good bounce, good spin. Plays the bank properly, and
crafty.
A little bit of fortune.
That was crafty.
That is crafty.
And what does that do for him? It gives Hahn the solo lead.
Oh, I see what you did there.
Come on, Star Wars.
I see what you did there. Star Wars fan.
Ricky Fowler trying to top what he did here in 2010, finishing second.
I want to be so good that from 274 yards I can one-hand a shot in disgust. 274 yards with a 3-wood
to 20 feet.
To 20 feet.
Come on, man.
In disgust. He didn't like it. He's got higher standards than most. And of course, if you've seen the shots coming off his club over the last 20 or so events, perhaps you would too. This took off on a terrific line. I'm not exactly sure. Perhaps he hit it a lot on the toe and thought it might have hooked a little bit more. But nonetheless, 2-putt, easy birdie.
This is the hole that cost him in 2010.
Well, and he only had 240 yards here today, Kelly, and decided to lay up. Didn't like either the lie or maybe the wind direction. And goes ahead and says, you know what, my wedge game's a lot better than it was in 2010, and I'm going to show you how good it is.
Maybe there's something about this green, Brandel. I don't know.
You know what makes that a really smart play?
What's that?
When you make birdie.
Exactly right.
Looks good in hindsight. In sharp focus, 2020. Fowler lurking and into the 16th through the tunnel, and boy, did they get on their feet when this young man came through.
How about that? The leader of the event asked for mayhem while he was swinging a golf club.
That's called embracing the crazy.
Yeah, this is Bubba Watson on the first tee at the Ryder Cup. Ricky Fowler taking that as his cue.
Oh, they were almost booing him.
They were
almost booing him.
Hey, listen, they let the golf shot decide. They don't play favorites there.
He's at 9 under par. Fowler at 17.
Yeah, that one looked quick in the backswing, kind of stuck it in the ground. Very difficult chip shot, I thought, because it kind of goes away from you over there. It's kind of like that negative edge look.
It's a really hard pitch shot.
It really is.
Sure. Not such a hard putt. Not such a hard putt. This is a man who picked up 5 strokes on the field on the greens yesterday. But today, how about this? This is a little bit of a hook fly. Trying to saw it off to that right pin. to hit this shot perfectly, it's got to be a soft, floating cut. That's extraordinary.
Hey, Brando.
Absolutely extraordinary shot.
He went with 3-wood off the tee there and left himself a good angle.
Smart man.
That's a young man who has learned how to close, and dramatically at that. Ricky Fowler just a shot off the pace, held by 34-year-old James Hahn, 26-year-old Ricky Fowler. Danny Lee, a winner last year like James Hahn, both with one victory in their back pocket. Same can be said on the PGA Tour for Shane Lowry, who took the WGC Bridgestone last year with flair. That monster shot out of trouble on the last hole. He is fun to watch. All right, more on Ricky Fowler. Remember, he's coming off a missed cut at the Farmers Insurance Open. When you consider his performance after his last 2 missed cuts on the PGA Tour, it bodes well for this guy to nab his 4th worldwide win in the last 9 months. The golf swing is cool, the clothes are cool, the haircut is cool, Brandel, and this putting stroke is pretty cool as well, especially over the last calendar year. Remind you of anyone, anything?
Yes, it does, Kelly. I mean, we spent so much time talking about his golf swing and specifically the changes he's made with Butch Harmon, but he's also made some changes to his putting stroke since we first started watching him 2009, 2010, and it is reminiscent of some of the greatest putters, some of the greatest players in the history of this game. If you watch Ricky Fowler, the putter head swings beautifully. It gets behind his hands on the backstroke, gets in front of his hands on the through stroke. And you'll hear a lot of people talk about hinging and holding, and maybe there is some merit to that. But by and large, the greatest putters of all time, Ray Floyd, watch it, nobody did better than him. Of course, he had a very long putter, but his elbows are broken, much like Ricky Fowler's were, and the putter got well behind his hands in the backstroke, well in front of his hands in the through stroke. And of course, perhaps the greatest putter of all time, and perhaps the greatest player of all time, also barely moved his hands. Barely. His hands hardly moved. The butt end of the club wouldn't move more than an inch or two, but the putter head swings about a foot back and a foot through. Great release. And even Tiger Woods, when he was at his best, had more closure through the putter, more closure rate than anybody else on the PGA Tour. You can say what you want about this hinge and hold and drag it down the line, and certainly there is a little merit to that, but by and large, releasing the putter, I think more than anything, helps your feel. He made a bucket full of putts at Abu Dhabi. He beat the field by 5 shots on the greens yesterday, and it's a big part of the reason why he's been so successful over the last year.
It's a critical 6 inches when you release that putter where it is headed. It's also a critical 6 inches between the right and left ear, and something has changed with him in the last year or two that has taken him to where he knew he could be and where players and fans hoped that he would be.
I think it's his resilience. I mean, his resilience is second to nobody on the PGA Tour these days. And you look at every time that this young man has missed a cut, or at least practically missed a cut, he's come back the next week and either played well or won the golf tournament. He did that last year. Looking at Ricky Fowler going forward, there's not a lot of problems in areas in his game, other than the fact that every once in a while he gets a little squirrely with the ball striking. He tends to get a little squirrely with the driver at times, but he's able to stay calm, stay within himself. He doesn't get flustered. He doesn't let. You saw what he did on 16 here. It was brilliant. I mean, he's wanting the crowd to get behind him. He has a great knack for calming himself down and really accepting the moment and feeling the moment and being in the moment and not being flustered by the moment. And that's something that is hard to learn and hard to teach yourself as a player. And he has it innately.
He's hanging out. He's shaking hands. Many members of the Thunderbird group that run this golf tournament so beautifully have commented that Ricky has gone out of his way to thank sponsors and officials, anyone related to this tournament. Of course, that has been a staple with Phil Mickelson, who's been coming here for more than 2 decades. He went to ASU and a real favorite around these parts, let alone around the world. Phil Mickelson today looked promising at the start.
He did, and you know what? He looked promising at the start yesterday, turning in 5 under par, but he made the back 9 trek, made a bogey at the 4th and a triple at the 5th, and ultimately struggled. But today, well, we're going to see if Phil had any more magic. Remember, it was not too long ago he shot a 60 in the 2nd round after opening with 73 and went on to win this tournament.
He's had some tough luck with this whole location on 9, Brandel.
Yes, he has. It was there that he went in and out for the 60, and of course here he is at the 13th par 5 from 15 feet. And yesterday he had a beautiful shot in here to about 2 feet from 50 yards.
And at the par 5 15th.
Well, this is kind of where it could go one way or the other. He was either going to spark a run here at the end or it was going to go the other direction, unfortunately for Phil. It went the other direction. He finds the water. Like I said before, earlier, the swing is a work in progress. He doesn't own it yet.
You know what's not a work in progress?
Yeah.
That right there. Yeah, this part of his game. It's mastery in progress.
And that is left for par at the last for Phil Mickelson. Let's get a check of some notable names in the field this week. Ricky Fowler, the highest ranked player in the field at number 4 in the world ranking. Bubba Watson right behind him at number 5. With a bullet on this golf course, twice a runner-up finisher here. Fowler does have 1 second place finish. Brandt Snedeker, a winner at Torrey Pines earlier in the week for his 8th tour win. Brooks Koepka, the defending champion, had it going for a while, stumbled a bit coming home on his second 9, and there is Mickelson at 2 under, along with a man who's playing with him, Zach Johnson, who thrilled the crowds here at 16 just a short time ago. And let's take you to the 18th right now and see how Phil Mickelson polishes off this round of golf. This for par. Well done. So Phil in the red, well back of the pace set by James Hahn to this point. Hahn at 10 under par. Fowler in the house at 9 under par, sharing second place with Danny Lee. And let's take a look at the scorecard for Mickelson. Again, just to document what happened yesterday, a bogey and a triple in consecutive holes, and again today, Brandel, back-to-back mistakes at 14 and 15.
Yeah, I mean, the cut is 70 in ties. You see Phil Mickelson had 28 putts there. That's more of a product of his wonderful chipping, missing a lot of greens. He's actually, as we speak, 92nd in this field in strokes gained putting. So miscues off of the tee and several miscues on the green.
He's only 8 back. He owns this place. He's right. Trust me, he's primed for a run on the weekend.
That's a very optimistic view.
I am very optimistic
Yes.
about his chances. I have a feeling greens are getting bouncy. He knows how to play this place.
Yeah, but guess who's 7 shots better than him in this tournament right now, and that is young Ricky Fowler, who could win for the second time in 3 weeks in 2 completely different deserts, one on the other side of the Atlantic and maybe here in Arizona. Just a moment ago, George Savaricas catching up with Fowler.
Thanks. Well, Ricky, you're able to finish your second round on a high note after your only blemish of the day. How big was that?
Definitely good to bounce back. Kind of got a little aggressive with the putt on 17 and didn't feel too comfortable with the read. Hit a bad putt there for par, but nice to put this together. Probably 2 of my better swings of the day off the tee with 3-wood, and then a nice little hold 7-iron to that back right pin on 18. So a 3 to that pin is always a bonus.
We didn't see a ton of low numbers out there today. What do you take away from the 68 you posted?
Stayed patient out there. It was tough. I mean, the wind was blowing from a little bit of an awkward position. You know, playing 15, 16, 17 when it's in off the left is kind of unorthodox. Normally it's more like down off the right. So it wasn't easy out there. You had to control your ball. It was tough to hit fairways at times. And just pleased with how we got around and posted a good score. We're in a great position for the weekend.
Yeah, you're 9 under halfway through. Should be part of that final group. What does that do for you going into the weekend?
Well, I knew having that putt on the last hole was a chance to get me in that position. So, yeah, I definitely wanted to be there. Every shot counts, and it's going to be a fun weekend.
There might be a few eyeballs on you out there on Saturday. Thanks for the time. Back to you.
All right, a little smile on the face of Ricky Fowler, a crowd pleaser, no doubt. There we are. That's our best side, isn't it, Brandel?